KUGAN CASSIUS for Eiffel TV in association with Macklin's Gym Bar. The offices of Frank Warren. Hi Frank.
I'm okay, working hard as always.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bit of a quiet time. I know there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, but boxing terms.
Well, we lost our big show, didn't we, for July? It was going to be Tyson defending his title against Klitschko, and that all fell apart because of the injury, and it was too late to put anything together, so we've shifted over Flanagan's fight over to the show on Saturday in Cardiff.
We'll come on to Fury and Klitschko in a little while. So this week you've got a double header on BoxNation from Cardiff. Obviously it's hard to work out who's actually headlining because you've got Williams Corcoran,
It's a good show.
you've got Flanagan,
Yeah.
the world champion, and then you've got obviously Jazza challenging for the world title against Rigondeaux, who's been here he's been in Wales a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Who is headlining that show?
Well, I don't know really. It depends who you are. I mean, for me, obviously the fight on there, for the home guy is Liam Williams against Gary Kokorian, and that's I think it's a great little fight. Two undefeated fighters, both got different styles, and we know Liam's a big puncher. We know what he can do. We also know that Gary's a good boxer, and we know that he's very gritty and tough, and he's not frightened of going into the other guy's backyard. They both sold a lot of tickets between them, so it's going to be a fabulous atmosphere. And for the winner, he'll get a shot at the world title very quickly. We're not going to pussyfoot around with it. We move very quickly. They're both good quality fighters, and I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to it, to see, which I hope will be a bit of a barn burner.
Coming on to Terry Flanagan, he's fighting the very experienced South African Fana.
Yeah.
I'm sure you admit, Frank, that you wanted something else for Terry Flanagan.
Listen, I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. It was on the undercard of another promoter's show, which was Tyson Fury against Klitschko. From my point of view, I wanted a relatively, not say easy job, but I weren't looking for the end of the world for Terry. It was such a big show, that show in Manchester. It's just a bit of spice for him, a bit of exposure, and that's the fight we made. The guy's ranked, I think, was batting up, he ranked in the top 10 of the organisation, so we made the fight. I expect Terry to win it. It's not just win it, it's how you win. The fella's not just coming over here to roll over, he's obviously going to give it his best shot. But I want Terry to come through that, and then we're looking at him in a unification fight in late September, early October.
Yeah.
We're in negotiations, and fingers crossed we can get it out line for the real title, not some bullshit belt that they put a bit of hundreds and thousands on and make out it's a big title.
And obviously, you must be pleased that Rigondeaux is fighting Dickens after the whole melee of the first time, but he has been obviously arrived here Monday, say here in Wales or
Monday. Through no fault of ours, there was problems with his visas. Obviously, that's not a problem that he's here. He's got his visa, and I felt sorry for Jazza, who worked and prepared very hard for that fight. It's a massive opportunity for him. He's a big underdog. With the bookmakers, and I think with a lot of people. But you know what? Jazz has done what nobody else has done or been prepared to do. He steps up the plate and said he'll take the fight on. And yet anything can happen in boxing. And I'll tell you what, if Balls wins it, he'll win it. But it's a tough fight for him. But, good luck to him. And I sincerely hope that he goes in there and he'll do his best. And if he comes away with it, if there's a big upset and there's nothing, we've seen upsets happen in boxing. If there is an upset, he will absolutely... For me, I'd be thrilled for him, and he will absolutely go on from strength to strength. Tough fight, but we're delivering to the fans, one of the big names in world boxing. They're getting a chance to see him in the flesh.
Listen to Rigondeaux talk. He always seems to make a point, not just this week, but in general, about cowards in boxing and the fact that there are so many people that are
no one want to fight him,
avoiding him to fight him. Apparently,
well, you say apparently they don't, because
but I'm not. Listen, I'm not in their mind.
I know you're not. But I'm just telling you, they don't want to fight him, do they? They run away from him, and that's it. And that's why you've got to take your hat off to Jazza. He's only lost one fight in his career, and it was he was doing quite well in that fight, so he got beaten. But he's willing to step up to the plate. So he is the fighter that they are all avoiding. They don't want to fight him. And also, what does he bring to the party? Well, what he brings to the party is an undefeated record and one of the big names in world boxing. He brings to the party. If you are a true world champion, if you're as good as your promoter's saying you are, then fight him. That's what he brings to the party. You're either the best fighter in the world, you're either the best in your weight division, or you're not. And if you're not, because you're avoiding fighting the best. We've seen all that with Eubanks.
What's funny is that Rigondeaux doesn't talk in English, but he sent a tweet in Welsh yesterday. I don't know what he said.
He's an honorary Welshman, isn't he? So that's it. He's an honorary Taff.
They're taken to him well, I believe. That doesn't work out yesterday.
Colourful. He's a colourful guy. He's like Jazz. I mean, Jazz is he's a bubbly guy and he's full of personality. It's just a shame you have to have a loser in fight like this, but that's what it is, and hopefully people will get to see the underdog get in there and do what no one else was prepared to do, take on this guy who's the best guy in the division.
We all love an underdog, don't we, Frank?
Yeah.
Your second part of your doubleheader on BoxNation this Saturday.
Let's talk about a couple of the other fights on the other. I'm not being rude and doing that.
Right.
Bradley Skeet on there, who's on the cusp of gets through this, then he's going to be stepped up very quickly and he'll be fighting for a world title. Tommy Langford, we've moved him up the rankings. Just a couple more fights and then, I'd let him fight for a world title. But more interestingly, he should be, I hope, the official contender for Chris Eubanks Jr. title. So I hope he ain't try and run away from him now.
Tommy Langford?
Yeah.
You're talking about the British title?
British title, yeah. Well, he hasn't got any other title because he won't fight for him. And then you've got Jamie Conlon on there, who's, bloody hell, his fights, he has some of the most entertaining fights you're ever going to see. And, hopefully it's an easier job for him, that he's not going to make a hard work of it. And he comes through that, we'll be moving him up. And then we've got a great undercard featuring some of our best young fighters.
15 fights, then.
Going back to your thing now, Eric, the Indian connection.
Yeah, the Indian connection. The double header from BoxNation, the second part of it was in Delhi. Yeah. Virginia Singh taking on Kerry Hope.
Yeah.
So your first show out there with Virginia Singh.
We're breaking new ground, aren't we? It's 2 shows we're putting on from 2 different continents in one night. We've done, but it's, I've done that 25, 30 years ago, contrary to what the new kid on the block says every now and then. You've never seen these things happen. They've been going on for years and years and years. I mean, I can remember doing 7 or 8 world title fights in one night on between the 2 shows. So it's nothing new, but India, it's new. That's quite exciting. We're hoping to develop in a new market there, and Virginia's got a homecoming. He's got a tough fight. He's only had 6 or 7 fights now, I think, Virginia. So he's not messing around. He's stepping up to the plate. He's got vast amateur experience and background. I think he's really looks good as a pro. He's quite surprised me. Question marks. What happens when he gets hit on the whiskers? What's he going to be like over 12 rounds? Can Kerry Hope provide us with those answers? We will see.
What sort of crowd are you expecting over there in Delhi?
I think it's been, because for the really, I think it's been set for about 6 or 7. I'm not sure the exact amount. Francis has been dealing with it, but that's what it is, and it's the start of building, the building process over there. And I know they've got quite a few celebrities from India attending the show. There was talk of whether even the Prime Minister being there, whether that's going to be the case or not, I don't know. But
what, Theresa May?
That's the one. Yeah. No, David Cameron. Sorry, ex-Prime Minister David Cameron's flying out for it. He's a big fan of Virginia's.
But the viewing figures on TV are going to be astronomical.
Huge, bigger than anybody's. Yeah. I mean, it's only that in China, isn't it? They're the two biggest nations as far as population is concerned in the world. I mean, I think he's got well over 1.5 million Facebook followers, Virginia, for somebody who's had 6 fights. I mean, that's quite a phenomenal achievement. So we're breaking ground there, and we'll hopefully come through the fight, and then we can continue forward with him, and with a view to getting him a world title fight in the next next year to 18 months there.
Obviously, it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since you announced Liam Smith's defence of his WBO title in America against Canelo. Liam Smith kept asking for the big fights.
Got it.
He's got it unbelievably.
But you know what? I'll give him his. I'll tell you something with him. I'll give you his due with Liam. Liam's I'm not be an after-timer. I've said for a long time, I think Liam is one of those guys that rises to the occasion. I mean, I like him as a fighter. I think he's done everything that's been asked of him. I think when you put him in some sort of fights which are ticking over fights, you don't get the best out of him. He seems to sort of go through the motions. Every time he's had to step up to the plate, he steps up big time. Now, he's got to step up big time with Alvarez. There's no doubt about that. You know, he's going to be fighting in the States on the 17th of September, and that's a big opportunity for him. But whatever happens, and I fancy he's got a real chance of beating Alvarez. You know, from day one, Alvarez and Broner, I never fancied Broner as a fighter. You know, Broner always looked vulnerable to me, and I think there are chinks in Alvarez's armour. But whether Liam has the weight, has the wherewithal, and has the key to finding those, we'll find out. But I think Alvarez is a beatable fighter. He's been beaten. We've seen him get beat by Mayweather. That being said, it was made at a weight that he was dead at. But we know that with Alvarez and Liam, we know that Liam's going in. He's a natural, and he's a big light middleweight. You know, when you look back at Alvarez against Amir Khan, he was coming up a couple of weights. Amir was never the biggest puncher in the world at his own weight, whereas Liam's quite a solid puncher. And as I say, there are chinks there, and I think that Liam will be able to exploit them. And again, you know, I know as far as the book is concerned, it'll be a big upset, but there are people in the industry who give him a really good shot.
It hasn't been announced where that fight in America will take place yet.
It will be on
next week.
Next week, yeah. So that'll be announced next week, and obviously we've got and Billy Joe Saunders will more than likely feature on that card as well, defending his title.
Any idea who Billy Joe Saunders may be facing?
No, we're working on that at the moment, and I can't announce it because obviously it's, you know, we're doing, it's a joint promotion between ourselves and Golden Boy, and obviously I don't want to preempt anything, but you know, that's what we'd like Billy on there with a view to Bill fighting a winner.
Okay. So also this week in boxing, Kell Brook and Golovkin was announced.
Good fight.
Thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on it, it's you know, Kell's doing again what Liam's doing. He's stepping up. He's really stepping up to the plate. He's fighting, you know, in my opinion, you know, one of the, not my opinion, I suppose in everybody's opinion, a lot of people make him the best fighter in the world. I think it's a toss-up between two fighters, who that is, but he's certainly there. He's a tough fighter. He's not just a big puncher. He can box. He's got a good boxing brain. And I know Kell's got all those things, but I think Kell going up, Kell's a big welterweight, but he ain't a big middleweight, is he? And going up to fight him, I'll take my hat off to him. He'll be a big underdog. But what else were they going to do with him? They kept promising him Vargas, and that fight, as we all know, was announced, but it never happened. We know why. We know it didn't happen. I made him a big offer, Kell, to fight Liam Smith over here, which again would have been a big fight, and I think that put pressure on his people to have to deliver a big fight for him, and that's why he's in the ring with Golovkin.
Obviously, the fight everyone was expecting was Golovkin-Eubank.
I wasn't.
Apart from you.
Was I right?
Yeah, you said it in our last video, actually. You said that fight has zero chance of happening.
It won't happen. I know. I've been down that road with Chris Eubanks Sr. You know, it's frustrating. We've done it not once, we've done it twice. It's not fair for us to on the fighter. We went down the road with him, with Billy Joe Saunders. We thought we had it done. We had a contract was sent out, and suddenly he comes back with ridiculous demands and stupid. I can't put it to use any other word except for stupid, because it's not even about money sometimes. It's just about the most ridiculous things that are in his head. And he's cost his son, I think, over the last year, millions. He's costing the Billy Joe Saunders fight on 2 occasions. He didn't fight Jacobs. He was number 1 to him. He'd have been well paid for that. And he's now not fighting Golovkin, which probably in some respects is doing him a great favour. Not financially, but from his health point of view. But the father is an imbecile. You deal with him. He's not capable of negotiating a contract for a fighter. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't understand how this business works. His idea of the business is that the promoter is ripping you off as soon as you walk in the door, which is ridiculous. His son says that he's never seen a contract for fights. Well, I certainly sent him contracts, or his representative, his then representative, his lawyer, for draft contracts for which terms were agreed for the Billy Joe Saunders fight. I understand that Matchroom sent him contracts, or say they said to, and I believe they did, to him. Whether the kids see him or not, I don't know, but you've got to look at it. Again, you look at that, you know, the kid's got his fighter, he's got the genes of his father as one of being a fighter. Has he got the genes of his fighter that he makes out that he wants the fights and don't take them? You know, has he seen the contracts? If he hasn't seen the contracts, if I was him, I'd be sitting there thinking to myself, there's two promoters now saying they've sent contracts to me. I haven't seen them. One, why not? I'm fighting. You know, Chris Eubanks' big thing is, you know, he's the manager, advisor, whatever he is of his son. His big thing about it is that, you know, the boxer should know what's going on and should see it. Well, if his son's not seeing the contracts, he's hardly advising his son as to what is going on, is he? I mean, because anybody, if you've got a fight going on, you know, your manager sits down, yeah, here's the contract, this is what they're offering you, this is what it is. Do you want it or you don't want it? Simple choice. Want to, you know, maybe tweak this, try and find whatever it is, but that's where we got. So if the son's not seen the contract, he needs to go up to his dad and say to his dad, why haven't I seen the contracts? What is there to hide? Why not? That's number one. Number two is, if he does know about, has seen the contracts, then he's kidding the public again. They're kidding the public. All this is, each time, I'm going to fight in the Olympic Games. We know it's never going to happen. More bullshit. You remember the father, he said he was going to fight. All this stuff's been going on and on. In the meantime, and I don't mean being disrespectful to his last opponent, but if you're talking about fighting Golovkin, you talk about fighting Billy Joe Saunders, and you're talking about fighting Jacobs and Uncle Tom Cobley and all, you don't fight at that level. You raise yourself above that. He was the interim champion, and he vacated it. When he was asked to vacate it to fight Billy Joe Saunders in a rematch that he said he wanted, he wouldn't do it. He then vacates it to go and fight for the British title rather than fight Jacobs. The father's a completely impossible to deal with because he doesn't know what he's doing. He does not understand it. You know, I want to go and see the TV company. The first dollar that goes to him. He's a challenger, for God's sake. You know, Golovkin. Who's Golovkin? What are people? You know, like he's a nobody. Who's Billy Joe Saunders? They're nobodies. What planet are they on? And all he's doing is doing his son a great disservice. I've said it from the beginning, and I'll keep on saying it. The old man does not want him fighting anybody because you know what happened? That meal ticket dries up. That dries up. Once that boy's beaten, what happens with the old man? Where is he then? He fades back into what he is, you know. And the old man, I've got to tell you something. Years ago, he said to me, Brendan Ingle, he was talking about him. He said, we had something coming up. I can't remember what, it's something to do with Naz. And he said, we was at this thing, and there was Brendan there, myself, and Chris Eubanks. And he kept on, and he just turned around Brendan, and he said to him, you're a phony. He said, you've always been a phony, and you're a phony. And you know what? He's right. He is a phony. The phony accent, the phony, everything about him is a phony. I knew him from day one. He didn't talk like that when I first met him, I'll tell you that. I promise you he didn't speak like that. He didn't dress like that when I first met him. And, you know, I'm all for all betters, and probably me, you know, where I come from, you know, from council block of flats. I was a lot different back then, but please, you know, we try to keep it real. He is not real, and he is doing his son a massive, massive, massive disservice. I've dealt with 4 different advisors, professional men, lawyers that he's had on board, finance people who came into meetings with us thinking they're dealing with the devil. And at the end, they were out. You know why they're out? Because they could see what we were offering, what was on the table, was a sensible deal. And they could not deal with the old man. He doesn't know what he's doing. And the manager of note and the trainer, Ronnie, should step up to the plate and he should say something about it. Not just sit back there, copy a few quid. You should be doing something for the boy. Now, I know he's got the kid's best interest on. Do something for the boy. Because at the end of the day, what will happen, his contract, his career will just turn to dust. Because no one's going to stand for this bullshit. Who's he going to fight next? Another defence of the British title? You know, what is that all about? Where is he going? They don't know where they're going because they're guided by a headless chicken.
Frank, Eddie highlighted a few of the problems within the negotiations, and he said that one of the things was that Chris Eubanks Sr. wanted to double the ticket prices.
Yeah. Where's all this come? This stuff, you know, we're charging, I don't know what they were. They're 500 quid for a ringside, it's 50 quid for a cheap ticket. Screw the fans, just double the price of the tickets. Now remember, most of the time the tickets price is done because of the amount of money that it takes to get the fight on, to pay the fighters to get them to do it. But the bottom line is, you can't just arbitrarily say, well, you know, just double this, and you know what, and pay-per-view, instead of being 20 quid or 15 quid, let's make it 50 quid. He has no regard for anybody except for himself. He's no regard for the fans, because if he had any regard for the fans, any regard for his son, these fights, all these fights we've talked about, would have happened. None of them are happening. And in the meantime, all the silly tweets are going to go out. You know, what's happened to Billy Joe Saunders? Golovkin, I'm going to do this, do that. All that crap's going out. But you know what? It's all empty. The tweet he should be sending is to his dad. What is going on with my career? What is happening? Why are you making a fool of me? I feel an idiot, actually. I'm sitting here. I'm supposed to fight Billy Joe Saunders. I vacated the WBA interim rather than fight for their title. I'm supposed to fight Golovkin, and it's not happening. Why isn't it happening? What's the common denominator in this? Well, it's his dad, and that's it. And he might, and is he in on everything with his dad? And that's the question I ask. If he knows everything what's going on, then he's as bad, and stop the tweeting altogether. But if it's your dad causing it, then you need to go and you need to sit down and have a good conversation with him. Excuse me.
Did Eddie Hearn also said that he's only spoke to Chris Eubanks Jr. Once, which was at the end of January, longer than a conversation that entailed hello. When you were sort of dealing with the first fight and the proposed second fight, did you have any conversations with the boy himself?
No, it's a funny thing. My son George was out in the States, and there was, I don't know what's going on, some tweeting or whatever it was. Or, I mean, I don't hardly do it stuff. But anyway, there was a thing going on out there, and George was out there, and he said to the boy, remember, we got a contract with him. We got a promotional contract with him. So he said, he was training out here. Well, if you want to meet up for a coffee or something, I'm out here. The old man heard about it about 3 weeks later, and your son's trying to interfere with our contract. Your son's trying. This is not done. You don't do this. This is wrong. What's going? We got a contract. What are you talking about? It's like he's worried about the son finding out something. That's my only. The paranoia is unbelievable. But then he forgets when I sat in Nassim Hamid's office many years ago in Sheffield, sitting in the office, and the phone rings, and it's Chris Eubanks, and he puts and Naz did not like. There was no love lost there, and the phone. He's put the phone on the open phone, and it's Chris Eubanks. You need me to advise you. You need nothing about my contract. You know, you need. I should be doing this and all that. We'll listen. And Naz and me are looking, and he went, no, that's it. But that's Chris Eubanks Senior for you, a phony.
Kell Brook said yesterday as well, one of the things was that they were insistent on Barry McGuigan being the commentator.
Well, what's all that? Of course he is. Well, he trains. Barry McGuigan was involved in something with him, but who is he to determine? What's he going to? And then he'll tell Barry McGuigan what he's got to say. Who is he to tell a TV company who can be the commentator? Who on earth does he think he is? He's the British champion, and he's been beaten by Billy Joe Saunders. What else is there? What does he bring to the table? He's coming in as a challenger, and who is he? I'd say if he told me that, he would be told to piss right off out of it and take his son with him. Who's going to stand for that? What planet is this on? All he should be worried about, his son getting in the ring and winning a title and showing everybody if he's the fighter that we all think he is or not. Get in there and fight. That's all we're interested in. Not Chris Eubanks Senior's ego and his ridiculous demands and his pomposity and ridiculous statements that he makes. No one's interested in that. We're all fed up. We're past that. That's why Kell Brook is fighting. That's why Billy Joe Saunders and us walked away. It was very difficult to get Billy back to the table again. He said, we've been down this road. We made the offer again. You keep them. And I've spent more time talking about that than I've talked about the show, which involves fighters that actually do want to fight. Fighters like Jazza Dickens, who step up to the plate and go and fight people. Kell Brook stepped up the plate to go and fight Golovkin. Liam Smith has stepped up the plate to go and fight Alvarez. They've done it. No problems with them. Let's get on with it. We're fighting men. We're fighters. We don't hide behind our dads. We don't hide behind our managers. We get out there and we do it because we are fighting men. We're not fanny merchants.
So hypothetically, if the Eubanks were to get in touch about the Saunders fight
I would not deal with Chris Eubanks at all, ever. It's pointless. I'll lose the will to live. I've done that. I've been down that road. I suffered him years ago. He forgets. I mean, even when he come on my shows after Barry Hearn had managed him and promoted him and telling me all the stories that how upset he was about all that, he had 5 fights for me. 5 fights. 2 of them were purse bids that I won. One he was lucky to win the fight. That was against Ray Close. All the other fighters against fighters that I managed and looked after. Every one of them beat him. That's what a good judge he was. When he come to fight on my shows, he got beat every time. Cole Thompson twice, Joe Calzaghe, Steve Collins, all beat him. And what do I want to sit down and go through all that crap again like we've done? I'm not interested. Tell the boy to tell his solicitor or his dad, if he's the manager, the dad to tell a solicitor to deal. I will never ever deal with him. We'll not have a meeting with him to talk about his son and fights ever. We'll not do it. It's pointless.
Did it come down to money? Why Saunders-Golovkin didn't happen?
Oh, Saunders-Golovkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did. It did at the end. It's a tough fight. You know, Kell Brook's doing what he's got to do, and it's a good fight. But it was down to money, and it was timing. You know, unfortunately for Bill, we had the injury. We were trying to get my big fight in the summer. That got pushed back, and it was going to be September. And it was. I mean, the money that was on the table was really good money, but it weren't enough money. And I'll kid you not. I told, and you check all my old interviews. I didn't want the fight. I thought it was too soon. He's only just won the title. Too soon, but he wanted it. But unfortunately, the terms were not quite right. And I'm not saying that Golovkin people were being difficult. They were being very accommodating. But unfortunately, what could be generated would not have made it at that time made the fight worthwhile for him. So that's what it is.
So, Frank, I know we have spoken about this. I'm going to wrap. Again, I'm going to refer back to Eddie, and he said he gave them a 5 p.m. deadline the day before. I remember you saying in an interview that you was giving them a deadline to sign the
This is a historic day today. I agree with him. I agree with Kell Brook. I agree with all of them. I agree with everyone says. But look, why do we keep having a conversation about it? Forget it. It's done. It makes them more important than they are. That's the bottom line. It makes them more important than they are. And I'm not going to keep repeating myself. You know what the score is, man. It's done and dusted. He wants to keep talking about him. I wouldn't let him look after my paper pitch outside here. He's crazy stuff.
Eddie Hearn did say, made reference to the fact that you were right in the end.
Yeah, makes a change for me to be right, doesn't it?
Klitschko Fury, Frank. I want to ask you about this allegation in the paper. Can you tell us anything in the Mirror about Tyson Fury? Is there anything?
Well, as far as I understand, that he has explained what it is, and it will take its due process, and he doesn't seem at all worried about it. And what I'm concerned about is if he was tested positive back in February 2015, why it's taken nearly 16, 17 months before that would come to light. And I've sort of heard what's gone in the background. I'm concerned about how the Sunday Mirror get hold of stories like that, because it can only been leaked from UCAD. So what are they doing in doing things like that? I'm concerned that as far as Tyson, it's not just Tyson, it's Huey. If that was the case, Huey's I think he's had about 4 fights. Tyson's had a couple of fights. How can you let someone fight if they're doing that? And they've never been found tested positive in any fights before or since. So it all seems pretty strange to me. I've never known anything like it. I mean, normally, if somebody tests positive for something, bang, you're done, and that's it. That's not been the case. He certainly wasn't tested positive when he fought against Klitschko. And you bet they were all over it out there, so that didn't happen. So I can't give you any lightning because I've not seen the documentation from UKAD, and obviously under the Information Act, Freedom of Information Act, he's entitled to see that documentation. I don't believe it's been provided yet, but no doubt it will be in due course, and to see if there actually is something for him to answer. Me personally, I don't think there can be. I think even the Border Control was surprised by it all.
Tyson Fury has obviously currently got an injury. He tweeted pictures out of his sprained ankles.
Yeah.
But like I said, a date is proposed for the end of October.
29th of October is the preliminary date, but there's a lot of things got to be sorted out. I understand that they are being dealt with, and once they're dealt with, obviously there'll be an announcement. But that's the preliminary date for it.
So we await news
for
a confirmation of that date.
Yeah.
But everything else will stay the same, venue, etc.
Absolutely, yeah.
As regards to that undercard, because obviously you've moved Terry Flanagan to this week.
We'll see what happens this weekend with Terry and other fighters, and then we'll work out what's going to happen. But I mean, the main thing is to get whatever happens. Terry will fight. Hopefully, fingers crossed, in that unification. We've made an offer, and that's the fight we want to make. It's a big fight for him.
That'd be a great fight to go on that, Bill.
Yeah, should be a promoter.
What else is coming up then for you? Obviously, there is a bit of a break now after your show.
Well, you know, we got lots of things coming up. I'm gonna do it in my style rather than coming out your court on a high and saying I've got this and I've got that and got that and we've got this fight and we're doing that fight. So I'll just go through my ones. I've got a bit of hay fever. Right, we got, as you know, September 17th. We've got the Alvarez and Liam's defence. Hopefully Billy Joe on the undercard. Billy Joe hopefully will fight the winner. Then we've got Paul Butler in a world title fight, which we're working on at the moment. Terry Flanagan, as I mentioned, in the hopefully in the unification with Zlatican. Then we've got our young man Teti, the African Lion. He'll be fighting for a world. Yeah, he's going to go into the #1 spot. So here, that's going to be quite interesting. We've got him fighting for a world title. We've got Bradley Skeet in a world title fight, which I'm negotiating. I hope that's going to get that way by the end of the year. The winner of Liam Williams and Gary Kokorian, that should get them into a good position where they'll be challenging and certainly fight for a world title fight soon. Tommy Langford, he's got a fight this weekend. Comes through that. I believe, will be the mandatory challenger to Chris Eubanks Jr. And then hopefully he won't walk away from that one as well, because I hear in sparring that Tommy gave him a bit of a problem. So no doubt we'll find out if he's going to try and duck that one out. Orville McKenzie, we're in negotiation for him to fight Hook. It's a good little fight for him, so we're working on that at the moment. And obviously there's Tyson against Klitschko. Then we've got Hughie Fury in a very meaningful fight that we're working on at the moment. I'll get that out of the way. And a lot of our other guys who are coming through for some good fights as well. Mitchell Smith will be back in a saddle. Some of our really good young fighters will be challenging up there and thereabouts. I'm going to push quite a few of them, and quite a few of them want to be pushed. So we've got some good stuff coming.
Did you say you're lining up something potentially world title-wise for Bradley Skeet?
Yeah.
At welter?
Well, you'll see what it is.
Interesting.
We're not announcing it. We're working on it.
When
they're ready, no, it's right. You can do that, but it's when you're working on it. You know, we're working on the fights. Yeah. And, you know, once we're announced, then we can hopefully announce them. I don't want to be. We've had a few problems in the past where you do things, you send contracts, and people don't deliver them. So, but and I'm trying to do this calmly.
You've had your high blood pressure moment in this interview,
I'm trying to announce that fights because I don't want to be a motherfucker.
Gutted about last weekend because obviously I saw a tweet from Tyson Fury to say this was the day I was meant to fight, etc. And I know you spent a lot of time, money, effort into promoting that Klitschko Fury, and these things, as you know more than anyone, happen in boxing. But it's just a bit, bit of a gut note.
Well, it's
really.
it's a shame, and we had some other big announcements to make around the fight, and unfortunately, we couldn't make those announcements because the fight didn't take place. But we're working on some seriously significant things which we've been doing for about a year now, and I'm hoping they're all going to come to fruition before the big fights start happening in September. We've got some really good stuff coming up.
You got your man Terence Crawford fighting soon as well.
Oh, on the channel. I mean, obviously you've got all those on there. I mean, one of my favourite fighters. I love watching him fight. I think he's a great fighter. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him fight. But there's some good. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight against Lomachenko, who I think is the #1 in the world. Contrary to what some people say, I think he's phenomenal. I love watching him.
Even Rigondeaux would be a great fight.
Listen, we can make that. I can't make it. I mean, I'd love to see him make that. I'd like to see it on our channel. That'd be a fabulous fight, wouldn't it? I mean, he's such two fabulous fighters. What a fight that would be. Lomachenko is something. I think he's something extra special. Unbelievable amateur career, but when you think what his second fight, losing a very close decision and then winning 2 title fights against real seasoned world champions, not just winning, it's how you win them. I mean, he is something else. I think he just blows me away watching him. That to me is what boxing's about. Not only can he punch, he can box. He finds angles. I should think he's a nightmare to fight, having him all over you.
Have you seen those rumours that we may potentially see Mayweather Pacquiao 2 next year?
Who cares? Do you care? I don't care. Again, I'm not being after. Look, it was great to see an event get the world's attention on boxing. The problem was that fight was about styles and about what people had left in the tank. And as regarding styles are concerned, it was always going to be that type of fight because Floyd Mayweather only fights one way. And Manny Pacquiao more or less fights one way. They ain't going to change their styles at this time of life. So it's always going to be that fight where he's going to be chasing him and he's going to be slipping and moving, and it never caught a light. And if they do make it, I hope it won't be like the last fight. But I don't think it will be the big crossover fight that it was previously, where the world's attention was on it, and it was the fight that led to Floyd and Manny becoming #1 and 2 in in Forbes' highest paid athletes list. And when you think their combined purses were as much as the next 7 people's combined purses earnings all put together, all the footballers and American players. So it's a huge event, but I don't think I would want to be. I'm not
overly excited.
I'm not sort of on the edge of my seat waiting for that.
All right, Frank.
I want to see David Haye in a fight with either Anthony Joshua or in a fight with Tyson Fury. That's what I would like to see. I think that's what the British fans would want to see.
Hasn't Tyson kind of ruled out David Haye?
Listen, they're money fights, aren't they? They're fights where you earn money, and I understand where he's coming from. Yeah, he was sodded around a couple of times. Who knows? And Anthony Joshua, I don't think they'll be too keen on taking it. One thing about David Haye, if he fancies a fight, then I think you have a problem if you're fighting him. When he's up for it and he fancies it, he certainly fancies fighting Anthony. And they're talking about Stavern at the moment.
For Joshua?
Yeah, who Wilder beat, what does it mean? I mean, I think. Well, it does. Do you think?
I'd like to see him fight that Joseph Parker from New Zealand.
I'd like to see him fight Wilder. He's got, when you look at Lomachenko, you look at all that amateur experience he's had at the level he fought at, and you look at the level that Anthony Joshua's fought at. He's fought in world championships, he's fought in the Olympic Games, and he's fought at a very high level. And you're looking at the current crop of heavyweights, he should be walking through all these guys. Once you're world champion, you had your couple of easy jobs. You won the title, which was, circumstances. He got it, and good luck to him. Through IBS stripping Tyson because he was contracted to fight Klitschko, and he couldn't have that. I'm sure Tyson would love that fight as a mandatory defence, but it weren't to be. And then he's had a nice knockover for the second one against Brazil, and he done okay in that. He done well, and Brazil is what he is. But now we want to see some fights. We want to see him step up and see him in with some meaningful fights. And don't try and. No one can sell to me what Stavern brings to the table. We've seen Stavern against Wilder. Wilder beat him. and that's it. And you know, if everybody thinks that Anthony Joshua can beat Wilder, what are we worried about Stavern for? We should be fighting Wilder. Or fight David Haye. David Haye's sitting there waiting for that fight, wants that fight. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Anthony with him. I think it's a great fight for both of them. Best man wins on the night.
I think from Haye, Fury and Joshua, you could probably pick any two of those to make a massive, massive thing.
You could make both of them, and it's nothing to say, and it's how you lose fights. The loser can then fight the winner. There's a like, you know, we've seen all that happening. That's what happened in, you know, we could have our mini, I'm not saying that, and don't think I'm going over the top here, but a British version of what happened in the States with Foreman, Ali, and Frazier. I mean, at our level, at least.
How many times a day between them fight each other?
So fight each other. It's not the end of the world. Somebody gets beat, they get beat. Come back, you know, and one beats one, the other one beats the other, and it makes it more interesting. Their fights up, you know, they're the fights that the fans do want to see. So I was a bit disappointed we couldn't get on the fight with Liam Smith and Kell Brooks. I thought that was a real good fight for the fans to see.
But the fight everyone was thinking it was going to happen at one point, Canelo and Golovkin, our boys are
I don't, but see, I understand. I mean, again, I never thought that fight would happen because Canelo's he's not a middleweight, and he's in there with a tough middleweight. There's no way Golovkin's going to make under 160 pounds, and to do so, we just wouldn't be able to do it. I don't think, and so he'd be giving a lot away as far as you know, a physical advantage. And I think maybe if I was him, which he's doing, he's going to have this fight with Liam. In their mind, they think they're going to beat Liam, and then they're going to move up to the middleweight and fight Bill. That's what they got in their mind. And I think that Liam's going to wreck that plan for them. At least I hope he will. But that's where they're at, and that I understand that, and I get that. But I think the Golovkin fight with Canelo, if he beats Liam, if he beats Billy Joe Saunders, that'll be happening next September. All big ifs. He's got to keep winning.
Okay, Frank. Thank you very much for talking to IFL TV.
That's all right, my son.
And Cardiff this week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a decent little show, and you know, and then hopefully, as I say, we hit the ground running in September with some good fights.
And October.
And October. And November. And not to forget December.
Thank you for talking to IFL TV, Frank Warren.
That's all right, mate.